an historic moment again here today. I love seeing when those rockets are taking off here, and 4 astronauts heading back up to space here. There's a local connection here.
One of them, San Diego's very own, yes, Megan MacArthur. So an incredible story. They are literally in space right now, heading to the ISS. It's awesome. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being with us. Let's send it over to Evan. I did see the wet roads out there.
Yeah, downtown. I was driving up here at what, 3 or so. Temperatures were mostly in the 50s, and that's how we've been over the last several hours, but some raindrops coming down on the windshield around the downtown area. Some wet roads for sure. This is the view from Mission Bay as we start off your 6 o'clock hour already here on your Friday. Temperatures are warming up to the low 60s by the time we get to about 1 p.m. You can see how we are on a steady climb to those low 60s. Going to be a partly cloudy day as those clouds continue to break apart, and then another chance for wet weather Monday. But Saturday and Sunday both look like great days to get outside. We will walk you through the weekend forecast in just a few minutes. Jenny, though, is checking up on traffic.
Well, it's a great day to take a drive, too, at 6:01 if that's your thing. Your travel times are fine. I do see just a tiny bit of volume on the tail end of the bridge, nothing major. Up to the North County, we're currently crash-free.
All right, Jenny, thank you very much. And we are staying on top of this breaking news. Multiple shootings in downtown San Diego in the gas lamp. One person is now dead. 4 others were shot and wounded.
The suspected gunman is now in custody, and News 8's Chris Groh has been breaking new details on this all morning long. He joins us live now with the latest. Chris?
And Eric and Netta, that suspect being taken into custody, we're told that, again, he first fired here outside the Pendry, shooting one man and unfortunately killing him before then heading north, actually to 5th and Island, just around this area right here where that second shooting took place. So just right here near where we are right now, and that's when he shot multiple people. But a lot of those gunshots being heard from a lot of the witnesses that are in this area, because even though it's a Thursday and we're still in the midst of this pandemic, the gas lamp is still quite a popular area. There were a lot of people around here.
Well, I was up top at a hotel and I heard 2 shots, and maybe about 3 minutes went by and then I heard another 2 shots. And that's when I saw some people running down the block right here. And then maybe about 6-7 minutes, no, like 5-6 minutes, you know, saw some cops pulling up. And that's when I came down here and popped my head out and see what was going on.
And so let's run through this timeline right now that San Diego police provided us so far, what they know about the shooting, because this is still very much early on. That first shooting, again, happening just there next to J Street, near the front of the Pendry Hotel, kind of where that valet area is. And police are trying to find out if that first victim was indeed either a hotel employee or someone who worked in the valet. But it's believed that that victim got into somewhat of an argument or confrontation with this suspected shooter before those shots were fired. Then he went north towards this area where we are right now, near 5th and Island, and that's when a second shooting happened after it appears he maybe got into another confrontation with the group of people. He shot 4 of them. 3 of them had to be taken to the hospital. One of them thankfully treated on scene and was able to go home. Those 3 that were taken to the hospital believed to have non-life-threatening injuries. But again, police are looking into exactly the motive behind either of these shootings.
Preliminarily, that's what we're being told, that he was bumping into people, kind of verbally picking fights with them, that he was the aggressor in the confrontation up at the next block.
And look, what we have been told about how the suspected shooter was taken into custody is that it does appear that because this was a crowded area, some people were potentially following him, making sure that police were able to not let him get so far away, and then he was eventually tasered. And what is police protocol is that when a taser is used on a suspect, they're not immediately taken to jail, they are taken to the hospital. So at the last update that we got, which was very early this morning, late last night, it was that the suspect was actually in custody but being treated in the hospital for having that taser fired on him. So all we know about him, though, is that he's a white male born in 1988. As for the victim, sadly, a 28-year-old male. Again, still trying to work and determine whether or not he worked for the Pendry Hotel or one of the nearby hotels, or maybe worked in valet. Eric and Netta.
Yeah, it is such a popular spot downtown. Chris Groh, thanks so much for that update. We'll see you back here soon in a few minutes. Stay with News 8 throughout the day. We are staying on top of this breaking story. You can also follow us for updates across our social media platforms, on the News 8 app, and at CBS8.com.
Well, today is the day we expect a major update about the future of the Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine.
As you know, that J&J shot has been on hold for more than a week after reports of a few blood clots. News 8's Allison Royal joining us live in Chula Vista with a closer look at what we can expect with this shot. Good morning, Allison.
Good morning, Netta and Eric. Well, Europe was a lot like us. It decided to pause the use of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, but it's giving it another go. But this time it's going to attach a safety warning to the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So the FDA here is likely to make a similar decision and issue a safety warning. But let me give you some background so we can understand how we got here. This decision was made after fewer than a dozen people had blood clots, which is still considered rare when you factor in the overall number of people that have chosen to get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine also has a convenience factor to it, maybe some appeal since it's easier to refrigerate and only requires one dose. Right now, there are about 10 million doses of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine that are sitting in a refrigerator somewhere in the United States awaiting approval from scientists that are advising the CDC. The CDC will meet later today for 6 hours to discuss the possible benefits and cons to the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Now, this comes as many Americans have questions about whether or not the vaccine is something they are interested in getting.
If something health related pops up in my life, I'm always like, is this new or is this COVID related?
And that was a COVID long hauler in another state. And speaking of other states, the vaccine supply and demand is starting to change. Fewer people are interested in receiving the vaccine, according to Dr. Anthony Fauci. So, for example, in Kansas, 60 counties denied any new shipments of coronavirus vaccines this week, saying that they were worried they would go unused and wanted to free them up to other places that might need them more. Netta and Eric.
Allison, thanks for the update. The UC and Cal State University systems will require all students, faculty, and staff who are returning for on-campus classes this fall to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19. This requirement will take effect under two conditions. The vaccines must get full FDA approval. You'll recall right now they are only approved for emergency use only. And the approved vaccines must be widely available. Students we spoke with at San Diego State were on board with the plan.
The online school has been really challenging, and if you need to get a vaccine to be in person, I think that'd be really good. I just got my second dose today, so I'm ready for things to be back to normal.
There will be exemptions for medical or religious reasons.
California's COVID case rate is now the lowest in the continental U.S. This marks a major change from the beginning of the year when California was seen as the epicenter of this pandemic in our country. Over the last week, the state has averaged less than 2,000 cases a day. In comparison, last winter, California's average peaked at more than 40,000 new cases every day. So less than 2,000.
Endeavour launches once again. 4 astronauts from 3 countries on Crew 2, now making their way to the one and only International Space Station.
SpaceX's Falcon 9 roared to life, lifting off from the Kennedy Space Center carrying 4 astronauts. And behind the controls is UC San Diego alumna Megan MacArthur.
Yeah, you see her right there. She's pretty awesome. News 8 spoke with MacArthur's grad school advisor, who says she's always been an explorer.
I had just a deep fascination in how the ocean works. And so all the parts that go together to make the ocean an interesting place to explore. So she's an explorer by nature.
And you can tell just by hearing her titles, she's an oceanographer and an astronaut. So talk about definitely curious about our world and the world around us. This flight does mark the 3rd launch of NASA astronauts from U.S. soil since the space shuttle's retirement 10 years ago. It's also the first to use a previously flown booster and a refurbished Crew Dragon capsule. So yeah, they're recycling on this. The crew is currently in orbit and they're expected to dock tomorrow morning around 2:10 Pacific time is when they'll land on the ISS and wave to the Earth from afar.
We're recycling space rockets right now. There's no excuse for us not to have recycling down here on planet Earth.
Exactly. No, I mean, you imagine those, I'm sure those space capsules are worth millions and millions of dollars. So they're probably like, hey, that thing still works.
Yeah, you don't just throw them away.
No, exactly, right? They're not bringing that to the recycling center.
And what's cool is her husband actually test flew that same ship.
That's incredible.
Isn't that cool?
It just runs in the family, I guess. So pretty cool. Take a look at what we have outside. This is how we are starting off our 6 o'clock hour, and it's plenty of overcast skies. Overcast conditions out there. A few spots where we're running into drizzle. However, it is very few and far between. Downtown saw just a few drizzle spots. We did see some wet roads as we kicked off the morning. So far, though, we are moving toward a much calmer, drier, clearer afternoon as opposed to what we've seen the last several days with overcast skies. We do still have those overcast conditions out there for the most part, but we are going to see those clouds steadily break apart over the next several hours. You can see how over the next 48 hours, those clouds do start to recede just a bit away from the mountaintops, hanging out along the coast for the most part and just slightly farther inland by 9:30 a.m. And then going into your afternoon and evening, those clouds completely clear out. We'll move toward just partly cloudy conditions and allow for plenty of the sun to come through. We run this forward for you all the way through your Sunday, and you can see through Sunday at 6 a.m. We're not expecting wet weather to be a threat. However, clouds will still be here and there at times. Temperatures are going to be in the low 60s and mid 60s across the coast and inland, low 60s for your mountains. Breezy conditions remain for your deserts with temperatures in the upper 80s. Now keep in mind, clouds are going to be pretty abundant across the coast and inland, partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies. Plenty of sunshine across the mountains and the deserts, and that breeze sticking around as well. The weekend forecast includes plenty of warm temperatures too, a few degrees warmer than where we are for today's highs. And then as we go into the beginning of next week, Monday, that's the next day where we expect plenty of rain in the forecast.